Hello, hello. Been a while. Feels like it's been like a year. Hello, hello. What's up, Emily? How you doing? Pop out chat. Sorry. Gotta do all my button clicking. How you doing today? Luna, don't play with that. I set up a lamp. Oh. Gosh. She climbed up the she climbed up like the side of the lamp, and it was I can't believe I caught that. I'm impressed with myself. I didn't realize I basically have the cat like reflexes. Yeah, that was about to crash. Jeez, oh no. I might have to move this lamp. Oh, because I have no lights over here, so it's hard to like, I need to get a light. Actually, I might have something I can use. Yeah, I need to move this. Give me 1 second. And I'll be right back. What's up, Mohammed? How you doing today? Actually, they're kind of not playing with it anymore, so I might be fine. I have like a reading light that I might set up instead. Yeah, I have to move it. Give me 1 second. What's up, Dracula? Sorry, I have to change my light situation because my cats are gonna try to climb it. They're animals. It's a bunch of animals over here. I'll be right back. All right, let's give this a shot. That's a little bit better, but that thing's beaming in my eyes. Hold on. Okay, this is as good as it's gonna get. Sorry, my cat like climbed the lamp and then the lamp fell down and I just barely caught it, so I had to change our situation. I think it's a little bit darker on the left side, but that's fine. What's up, Doru? Are we game yet? We're getting there. I finished the inventory system and I did the item drop table, just like a generic one that just drops some of the items that I made. Whenever you like beat a monster, there's like a probability that it'll drop, and then there's a probability that some amount of items will drop, and there's a probability that some specific item will drop inside of that. And so that part's done now. And I even got like drag and drop working and things like that. Then next up is dungeons, and this has been a massive change. So yeah, because I have like a single process. I have a single game server. Here, I can draw it if you guys want. Let's see here. Excel draw. Let me go down. Yeah, it's felt like slow progress, to be honest, just because I've been busy with a bunch of other stuff. But here's what I'm thinking it's going to be like. It'll be, you have a bunch of clients, and then all of those connect to a single proxy. And then I'm going to have one game server, which runs the entire game. And then inside of that, what I originally had was I had like one big world, which I was calling the overworld. And that's like where you log into and you like walk around, and that has like the single room where you like destroy the crystal and like fight the monsters. That's what it currently is right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have doorways open on this world that lead you to other worlds. And world, I'm just using the name world because that's like the concept of an ECS. You have like a world with a bunch of entities in it. So it's going to be a separate world, which will be like a dungeon. It'll be a dungeon. This will be like the overworld. Overworld. And then what it'll be is you'll basically like send some input that tells you to switch worlds. And then what'll happen is I'll basically delete your entity over in this world and then copy it over here. And then you'll be placed into the dungeon world. And the client obviously, like this will have a world ID. Like this will be identified somehow, which the overworld is ID 1. ID 0 is like invalid world ID. This will be like ID 2 if it's the first dungeon, but this will just be incrementing counter. But I might do like a UUID eventually or something if I ever go like more distributed. But then the client will see like, oh, I'm in ID 2 now. And this is the part I'm on right now, where the client will be like, oh, I'm in ID 2. So I need to, because I used to be in ID, like world ID 1, I need to switch worlds. So essentially like they have to delete their world and then like add themselves back to the correct world. Then I have like a level kit, what I'm going to call a level config, which will also be sent over. And that'll just define like what's in the world in terms of like default loading. So for now, it's just like which LDTK map do you load? But eventually I'll make it more procedural. I'll probably have like a random seed that I send over, and they'll generate a random dungeon based off of that random seed. I'll probably have those 2 generations deterministic. So that way you don't have to send the entire like tile map over. You just have to send over the random seed, and then everything should be the same on both sides. So yeah, that is where we are. So decent progress. I'm happy that the inventory stuff's done now. So there's still a little bit of lag, like when you drag an item and you put it in another slot, there's a little bit of lag because the server has to confirm it and send it back to you, the updated inventory. That's how it's designed right now. But it's not going to be like a very inventory focused game. So I think that that's an okay compromise to deal with currently. That way I don't have to like worry about making it super optimized, because I don't think it's that important. I think the actual gameplay is more important right now. So yeah, that's where we are. And yeah, but yeah, this whole rewrite's been very, very challenging, because I'm learning that I have a lot of places where I was like, oh, let me make this global for like an optimization region or something like that. But now that I have basically 2 ECS games running in the same process, now all of the global data that I was previously using, like, it causes a lot of race conditions. Yeah, I think once there's dungeons, like, it'll be an actual game at that point. Because like this is like the last big feature I need to add before it's a game. Because I have monsters, I have weapons, I have health, and obviously like you can add these could be improved, but like in terms of like base mechanics, I have multiple players logging in, I have monsters, I have weapons, I have like damaging other monsters, getting damaged yourself. I have like a kind of a room concept, which will probably have to change in terms of this update. But once I have dungeons, it'll be like, oh, like you can actually like go and play this game. Like you can actually like do a dungeon crawl and like get loot and stuff like that. So I guess I probably need, like, nobody really wants to grind dungeons for nothing, no rewards. So I do need to have some amount of account like persistence too. So that'll probably be the next thing after this. Once I get dungeons like squared away, I'll probably do dungeons in one update, and then I'll do I'll either do like a big like content dump where I'll just try to add as much content as I can in terms of dungeons, and then obviously I probably have to add like bosses and stuff like that. I didn't think about that. I'm sure there's going to be stuff that I forgot about, but bosses, I guess conceptually, are just like a monster, but like they're a much more complicated encounter, I guess. So yeah. Yeah, so then after that, I think it's like kind of it's becoming a game. So we are getting close to are we game yet? So yeah, have you guys seen the clean code stuff that's been going on with Casey Muratori and Bob Martin? Did you guys follow that at all? Yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. I watched this. The guy who made Odin, his name on YouTube is like Ginger Bill, I think. He did like I saw the one with Prime and Casey. Yeah, I haven't watched that yet. I watched the Ginger Bill one where he just kind of like, I'm sure he had read it before, but it was kind of just like a off the top of his head type of analysis. So it was interesting. It's interesting from his perspective because he's probably has a lot of opinions on how languages should be. So it's interesting hearing his perspective, I thought. But yeah, I guess I'm not super well read on the clean code stuff, but the thing I didn't like about it was just that people would like blindly follow it. Like at work, they like send, like they do a code review for me or something, and then they just like send me like one of his very vague statements, like, oh, you should do blah 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 and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know, one of them is maybe like I genuinely don't even know, but you'll get like some like very vague statement that's like globally spoken. Yeah, you use polymorphism, maybe. Exactly. Well, you'll just get like you'll get some like vague recommendation, and they just expect you to like change your code, even though I felt like a lot of times my code would have been worse by doing it that way. But it's like it's like hard to argue because it's like I don't even know. It's like the only argument they're presenting is like this one guy said this was a good thing to do, and that was my biggest problem with it. I don't think it's necessarily bad that he has a different opinion on like how code should be written, because everyone's got a different opinion on that. I think the problem is that he writes in these very general statements, and then people just like apply it broadly. So yeah. He used polymorphism, maybe. But it is interesting to see how because I was reading through how they did like the IO design part, and that was interesting to see Casey's design. So it's just like very I don't know, it was very interesting. It's a design I never would have thought of. So, but all right, I have a null pointer exception somewhere as a part of this like client switching worlds part. I've got something going wrong, so I'm figuring that out right now. I never expected it to become that big. Yeah, I mean, it's two pretty big figures in like the programming community, so like I could see it, and like they have very different opinions on how software should be written. And I feel like Casey's very opinionated, and then I feel like Bob Martin's obviously very opinionated, right? He's like written books on the topic. I feel like the less amount of structure you add, the better. That's how, like, I don't know, that's how I feel about programming. Like, I hate it when people add too much structure to their code, and then it's like, now I want to add something, but I can't physically add it because like you've added something that prevented it. But sometimes you end up with an unstructured mess, like what I get a lot of times. Like for example, this like scene loader thing, because I've been very unstructured, like I need to add structure to it to like get it to be more, I don't know. I don't really know the word here. I need to add some structure to make it more manageable. Oh, my cat's just ripped open the blinds. Bunch of weirdos. But I don't know. It's interesting. There's a lot of different approaches to programming, I think, so it's fun to see them all. I feel like we overcomplicate it a lot of times, though. I feel like there's easier ways to think about this stuff, but like we just can't solve the problem at hand. So we end up like adding structure because we think it's going to help us understand the problem better. But yeah, like yeah, OOP is literally just like restricting yourself. Cats. Look at all these factories and managers. Yeah. Abstract service factory, exactly. Where's the where's Newbot Java? Unfortunately, it doesn't work in, well, it does probably work in YouTube chat. I just have to launch it every time. Seems like Angular maybe gonna switch from OOP. Oh, really? I don't think it's necessarily bad to have like encapsulated things that do stuff. But I feel like it's in like the clean code, at least as I understand what clean code is, it's too fine-grained. People still use Angular. I have no idea. I don't do front-end stuff. I actually tried to make a Svelte app like 2 days ago, or no, maybe it was like 3 days ago or something. I tried to make one, and I was trying to use ChatGPT to make the whole thing. And I'm actually pretty impressed with how much code ChatGPT would just generate for me. My idea was that like, because I've been making like shorts, like short form stuff. Yeah, Svelte is very good. I'm making like shorter videos, you know, just to like figure out my process for making videos. And then I'm uploading them to TikTok and as well as, and then I also upload them to YouTube. But it's a little bit annoying to like upload them to both. So I figured, oh, maybe I could write an app that like does it to both. And I spent like maybe 5 hours on it or something. And I got pretty far, but tech companies near me still do, and the older ones, yeah. But what? Why didn't I finish? Chipity doing the lifting. Yeah, I didn't finish it. Well, maybe one day I will finish it, but I just wanted to get back to like working on this. It was more like I kind of had like a day where I wasn't focused, so I figured I'd work on it in the meantime. But most days I tend to work on this stuff, so. All right. Oh yeah, where's this null pointer happening? Oh, actually, I think I was looking into this beforehand, wasn't I? New chunk loader. Yeah, so the problem is I'm creating a new game scene. Switching, or no, I'm not switching. It's just weird that I'm getting, because I'm getting the first update, which is like, oh, you switch to overworld, and then I'm getting a new one, which is like that you don't have valid data for this. So that's the part that's confusing, I guess. Let's go to the server. The server network. And The thing is, this should always be valid. Let's do a printout here. This stuff should always be set because this gets set before we even launch the world to run. So I need to do a nope. Server.log. Yeah, so we have two. We have one dungeon, and then we have the overworld. It looks like this is sending fine. Maybe there's something in the proxy which is dropping the data or something like that. Oh, wait a second. No. Yeah, the proxy must be sending a world update that's got just blank data for some reason. I just thought it was always passed through. Let's go to the proxy now. Proxy con. Oh, client con. I'm really glad I wrote this RPC framework because it's made stuff a lot easier. It would have been very, very difficult to manage all this like mentally without having it. All right. World ID level config. Where's world update happen? Oh, I think it's in this other file actually. It's in proxy. That's right. We have the server reception stuff here. Server message.world update. What's in here? Yeah, then we send the world update to the client. I guess let's print out the world update here. Log.print. We'll just do this. Update.world update dot what do they call? I called them world ID. And I called it level config. Like at some point I'm sending this bad data. I'm only sending it there, it looks like, so it's kind of... Yeah, so here I'm sending a blank one, which is not good. This might happen actually in the login response on the client. Yeah, scene. Nope, wanted to search for something different. Yeah, okay. It's weird. It's weird that the server seems to be sending this data, but I don't seem to be getting it on the proxy. And I don't think I'm like modifying it all. Let's go to network on the server. Where do we actually send it? Okay, let's print it here. Log.print. We'll just copy this. Actually, we can do this, can't we? So we have the server update. All right. Now we have printouts on both sides. So we'll see if one is printing and one is not. Okay. Server send update. This looks like it has valid data every single time. So the fact that this is getting a 0 is really confusing. Oh, I know what it is. I'm an idiot. The problem is I had, because the world update's like fairly complicated, so I have to like wrap it with a bunch of stuff. Or sorry, I mean I have to manually serialize it because it's so complicated. So what I need to do is add in every single time I add something to this message, I need to update the binary version of that. User ID, we'll do this, put this at the top. It's w.world ID. Okay, that's Marshall. Now we need to do unmarshall. Okay, now it should work. Well, once we fix this. Okay. I really need to clean up that that serialization. I just don't know how to improve it. Unless I make it more specific of a serializer. Right now it's very generic, which makes it really easy to add components, but it's kind of painful to work with. Well, that's not good. Oh, I think I actually know what this is causing that. All right, at least we're getting the data now. So we're getting the world. Oh, race condition. Let's look at this really quick. New game scene. I've been recently running like the race condition checker all the time. Especially now it's been helpful just because it's like because I have extra games, like I have multiple games running inside of my game now. Like multiple worlds, I guess. I don't know if you guys can hear, but my cats just make so much noise. They're just always like doing something ridiculous. I can't even. There they go. Who'd have thought? Okay, let's look at this race condition first. So we have a read window.draw. Oh, they got, yeah, they still got zoomies for sure. The thing is, I feel like when I leave my door open, like I have a sliding door over there, and it's kind of cool today, so I left it open. And when it's open, they just like, it's back and forth. It's nonstop. I'm actually gonna fix the other bug and then hope that one goes away. We'll see. Okay. I think this starts here. This is where I this is like a situation where I didn't think I would ever have to do this. So like that's why this rewrite's very painful, because I didn't write the code forward thinking enough to know that I'd have to write it this way, you know? But like in hindsight, I probably should have realized that I was going to do something like this. But you know. But you know. But anyway, I think the logic I have somewhere is I have that if the player doesn't have their if their ID is invalid, that's like an exit condition. That means that their player character got deleted for some reason. That takes them back to the menu. And that's the problem that I'm having here, is because that's a really bad exit condition. Because now I need to delete the player, move them to another world, and then spawn them again. So I need to have some way of seeing what their ID is. I guess we can put that in the world update for now. Yeah, I mean, this message is getting really bloated, but I could also make another message type that I guess sends from the server to the player that just says like, "Hey, switch to this world. Here's the world." You know what I mean? And then the player can be like, "Oh, okay." I'm trying to think of how to best do this. Let me look at how I do it on the server really quick. No, I think it's in server sys. Right now I just hit a key. Yeah, I made a teleport home button, and I just used that to switch them to the dungeon too, just for testing. Eventually it'll like go and interact with the actual dungeon object, but yeah, this is very hard coded, but this is a no judgment zone. Move user to dungeon. What does this do? So I guess I do it like very actively. It's not a very, there's nothing blocking here. Remove user, add user. It just has to acquire locks and do some copying from one dungeon to another, basically, like copy the entity and put it in another one. Have you played any new games? Not really, no. I played a little bit of Dome Keeper yesterday. It's fun. I like that game. It's it kind of frustrates me sometimes though. You just go so slow, and it's like I just want to go harvest for a while, but like I feel like there's always the next wave coming. So you get to go down like maybe once or twice to get stuff. And it's so hard to find like what's it, like copper or whatever, to find like materials to actually craft stuff. So I'm not saying I could have built it any better, but that part just like, I just wish it was more like faster paced, I guess. How about you? You been playing anything new? Any new games? Is there anything new that's out? What's that Northern Lion been playing? I haven't even been watching him. I've been watching his Into the Gungeon series. I've probably watched like 100 episodes of that. I put one on like every single time I go to sleep. And I like because I've played that game before, but I didn't realize the number of different guns that there were. And he'll get guns, and I'm like, I had no idea that was in the game, you know? And that made me want to play it, but I couldn't find it. I thought I owned Enter the Gungeon. I was going to play that yesterday, but I couldn't find it. Maybe I have it on like Epic Game Store or something, because they probably gave it to me for free or something like that. I played Raven's Watch. It was sponsored. It's pretty cool, but very little content. What's Raven's Watch? Raven's Watch. Was it early access or something? It's got pretty good ratings, geez. Dead Gods. I don't like websites when like they slowly load everything and like content just like slowly adjusts for this new thing they're gonna add in. Like it was in front of me, and then like this pops up, and then everything slides down, and it's like, okay. I like the art style. Oh. Freezing Shatter, quest, shatter 3 enemies with a oh. Yeah, I like the art style. Yeah, I always try to press a button to load something and I miss it. I know. That's the worst, when you're like about to click a button and then like, oh, it shifts, like especially those top bars that pop up. You know what I'm talking about? Like the little like header things that pop up on some websites. Shiny game, no money to spare. After successful early access with our previous game, Curse of the Dead Gods, we are convinced that sharing the game and collecting user feedback as soon as possible helps us deliver the best experience possible at launch. That's why we're doing early access for Raven's Watch, our new roguelite action game, playable solo. Oh, wow. 1 year early access. Did you like the game? 20 bucks. It's a pricey one. Did Northern Lion like it? You have to save up, Doru. I feel like 20 bucks is kind of a lot. But I don't know how big of a game it is, I guess. It's a map you can explore. It has random quests. Okay. How is it roguelite though? Like you die and you go back? Because usually I feel like roguelikes have some sort of like path you follow. Oh, you have 24 minutes before the boss spawns. Interesting. So you try to get as powerful as possible before that 25 minutes? Not that cheap ones converted to our currency here. I feel like $20 is a lot of money for an indie game. But well, what do I know? New message or... The problem with doing a new message is that I feel like there's a possibility that a world update comes with a different world ID before you get the message that tells you to switch. I think I'm going to keep it in this one. That way it's all like you just get one message and you make decisions based off of that. So you get a new world ID, you switch. I feel like I can compress it later on. Gotta save up, definitely. Yeah, you need to reach level 5 and get as many items as you can. I feel like currently upgrades are pretty boring, just like stats. Yeah, that's the thing about like roguelikes. The really fun ones are like when you get some crazy update, or not update, you get some crazy upgrade. They promise like 5 maps and a lot of updates. So right now, not worth it, but maybe on release, yeah. I just feel like $20 is a lot for like a game that's in early access. Maybe once they release, it's like, okay, now I consider paying $20. But all right, let's look at this. I guess what I should probably be doing is, I think long term, I need to send a user ID. Yeah, I think the problem, well, I'm trying to think here. I think maybe the problem is I'm using ECS ID as like the network identifier for everything. And because of that, it makes it hard to like track, because if the client just managed their own ECS IDs and used network IDs, which is very close to what user IDs right now, they use user IDs instead of ECS IDs, then I wouldn't have to worry about like, oh, what ECS ID is this, you know? I spent 3 hours and beat it a few times already. I guess what gives it variety is 6 characters that are unique. Oh, gotcha. I'm actually not that big of a fan of having like different characters with different abilities. I'd rather have like just different loot that gives you different abilities. I'd be fine with like a few different characters, I guess, but I mean, I guess it all adds variety, but for now, I think I have to go send the ECS ID over, don't I? This is a hard one. Because the proxy doesn't know what your ECS ID is anyways. And the server can't construct it. Let me look at what this does. Proxy. Where is usercon? What's in here? Do I have ECS ID in here? Probably not. I have user ID though. I guess for now, there's a little hood that there's little hood. There's little. I don't know why I said little. There's red hood that turns into a wolf at night with a different set of skills. Oh, okay. Oh, that's one of the characters you can play. Are they all like fairy tale people? Like, is it all from fairy tales? Because it kind of looks that way. It looks like the black outline on all the characters makes it look like dark but cartoony, still a little bit, which maybe gives it like the fairy tale impression. Fairy tale, gotcha. That's a cool theme. I feel like there's not very many like I guess fairy tale's pretty common, isn't it? They always try to put a twist on it, you know. But I like that. I like when they have a little twist on things. It's boring when everything's the same, you know. What I really need to do is I really need to convert this. This is kind of what I'm realizing. I really need to convert this to use network ID. Or I need to have the same ECS ID across all of the worlds. Because the problem I'm having is that, like, in this world, you have one ECS ID, but then you get deleted and you get copied to a new one. You get a different ECS ID in this world. So I either need to have like an ID producer, which both of the worlds use to get their IDs, or I need to do everything based off of network ID. I think eventually I'll probably have a network ID, which is how you correlate an entity across the network. The only downside there is every time this one's a little bit more work because I have to actually do that correlation. I have to track all of the entities and like have a network ID to ECS ID. So that way when you receive a network update that says like, oh, this network ID wants to change their position, you have to go find the ECS ID that they are and then write to that one. So it's a little bit more indirect. Because previously what I was using was I was overloading ECS ID with network ID. I'm just trying to think if that's a bad thing. If I do switch to this method, if that's a bad thing to make ECS ID literally just the network ID. The only downside is I need to have, because there's some entities that aren't networked, you now need to have a range of like network. This is like your ID space. Like you need to produce some IDs for networked entities and you need to produce some IDs for not networked entities. Like for example, all the projectiles are not networked. So they spawn independently on every server or every node. This is what I'm currently doing though. How would this... The problem is I can't really see a big downside to this way. But I feel like it's not as good for some reason. I just can't think of why. I guess what'll have to happen though yeah, so you receive you want to switch worlds. And you're receiving updates for network ID things. So you would delete this world, spawn this one, and you would know what your network ID is. And then you'd receive an update with your network ID because that just never changed. Yeah, I mean, I think that works. I feel like this isn't as good. I just don't know why. I just have an inkling it's not going to be as good. I like have an inkling that something's going to go wrong with this. It's obviously annoying to do this. I'd still have to do this sort of thing. But otherwise I have to do this extra lookup thing, which does seem kind of annoying. But I guess I think I already do it on the server, don't I? Because I have user ID. So user ID would be more for like the database key, I think eventually, and this would become more like a network ID. How does this work? I wanted to look at how the server... I'm gonna look how the server receives messages. Because I think I look up. Input buffer stuff. What is this? Pull network system. It might be in con actually. Server user. Yeah, like I pass in this to get the server user, and that has their ID and has their tick and has their world. So this is how you look up the world that they're in. This is how you, that's for like looping back their tick ID. And this is how you get their ID inside of that world. So I kind of have this key space broken up all like that already. What do I call get user? Yeah, so player input. So they receive a player input message. So the player wants to change their input. You basically look up which user they are. And then based off of that, you can find the world that they're in with the world ID. And then once you find the world ID, you can pass their player input to the world so that it gets processed. So that's how it works. So it would be very similar. It'd be very similar for the, I need to add this on the client side if I do go this route. It would be very similar to this. So I guess I'm already doing it on half of the server. This one just seems so easy, but I feel like it's wrong. And I think that it's going to become wrong if you ever get very distributed. Hey buddy. There's the kitten. Does it really get that bad? I don't even know. I guess the other downside is I do already have this information, but when the server sends an update, they would have to, instead of keying everything based off of the ECS ID, they'd have to do it on the user ID, sorry, the network ID of the entity. So that involves another lookup basically, but I think that it's just in the user component. Like there's a component called like user. Yeah, here. So you just have to loop through this and be like, oh, there's your, oh wait, it doesn't have ECS ID. Oh no, you look at the user component, you get the user ID. So now you already had the ECS ID, so now you can get the user ID this way. I think, I'm trying to think of how it's going to work. You're going to have a world. World 2. And you have like a client world. And if you give them the whole key space for IDs, that means that's going to cause collisions. So then you need some sort of mapping to remove those collisions. And that's where the network ID comes in. I'm just going to say ID. So you keep this mapping. Everybody keeps this mapping. They each have their own. That maps it like the global network ID to whatever they're using for their internal ECS ID. Then the problem is the server worlds. Like at the end of the day, there needs to be something that's centralized. That's like an ID producer. And like he needs to be like, get me an ID. And he needs to do the same thing. And that's how they get the, because they need to be unique. Something needs to be unique. Either this ID or this ID. I think what I'm going to do near term, just because my changes are already getting very, very complicated, I think I'm going to go with this route. And then eventually I will probably change to something like this. I just don't really have I feel like I don't have a super good reason to do it yet. So I'm going to use, I'm going to keep using ECS ID as the network ID. I'm just going to make a centralized like ID producer world. And yeah. And that's how it's going to be, I think. And maybe halfway through coding this way, I'm going to be like, oh, I didn't think about that. And I'm going to fix it. But what does that mean? That means that the player ID is not going to change. So on the client con, when they receive this, where do I track my ID? Oh, it's in player data. I keep player data, which has the ID. But I can't keep it there because this is going to be a unique ID. So that means that when I get this response back, I do player data.set ID, but I can't do that technically. I need to store the player ID inside of the player con, which is this object, which is managing the connection. Let's do this then. I'm just going to copy the authenticated functions. Oh, I need a lock. I need to lock these. Where do I do credentials? Oh, I set them once. I don't actually, do I even use this lock? No, I don't. Okay. Well, we're going to use it here. I mean, technically this will never be, we'll lock it anyways. C.player ID equals ID. This gets you the player at return. I mean, technically this should be a read-write lock. R lock, R unlock, mutex, RW mutex. Okay. So when we write it, we lock it, we unlock it, and R lock, R unlock. I'll put it to do here. This should maybe become network ID. Okay, but right now it's the player entity ID. This seems fine to me, except for that. All right. Then when we log in, instead of doing player data.set ID, well, we do technically need to, I think I have to get rid of that. Yeah, the cats have calmed down. Actually, I don't know where they went. One jumped up here to have me pet him a little bit, but then he quickly ran away. They wore themselves out, I guess. Okay, so we'll set the player ID here. This is actually the only time we ever need to set the ID. But in player data, client, player, I do have this ID. And I think I actually need to remove this completely because this is at the wrong scope. This whole thing, like I have a kind of confusing, like this probably needs to be bubbled up anyways. A lot of the data here to the player connection. Originally I was using this as like a global data store for the player. So they log in, like they have a bunch of stuff they need to track. like how they logged in and stuff like that. And I'm slowly kind of moving that into this player con object because this is what manages the whole connection. So, but yeah, once they get their ID, it will never change. And they'll only set it when they receive this. So this is going to break a lot of stuff. Player data.id. Yeah, so now I need to, this needs to be like player con now. Or I guess this one could just be player con. I think that's what I called it. I guess not. Set player ID. And then player ID. I'll do this. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Game. Game.playerCon. It's funny because I have a lot of this, like, now that I'm keeping it unique, a lot of the places where I'm calling this, it doesn't need to be a function call actually. It can just be like, because the IDs can never change. But that's fine. c.mu, c.mu, c.mu. Let me just make sure I did this right. Okay, you lock it, then you defer, unlock, lock, defer, unlock. Okay. Yeah, so we'll change this to just c dot player ID. I have player con. No. All right. So, yeah. I'm hesitant though to not pass in the full object and just pass in the ID. Actually, now I'm trying to think of if there's gonna this is gonna cause a side effect. Because when the player joins in, they're gonna get assigned a new ID. I guess that's fine. I'm just trying to think when they die. There's a lot of intertwined stuff here. I guess once they die, if they go back to the main menu, yeah, this doesn't match up, I don't think, because they're gonna have to rejoin the server and they're gonna get a new ID then. So if I'm gonna keep it at this level, they need to get their ID once they establish their connection, which is probably not correct. Yeah, it's just hard. It's hard because there's like this, I'm adding like another layer on top of it. I'm adding like another layer right here so that I can like multiplex between different worlds. But I'm not adding it like, I'm not like fully adding it. I'm like trying to like add it as easily as possible. So this is where something like network ID would be good to have. Let's see here. Let's go to the server con Player input. Oh, where's join server? Yeah, player int add. This is where we create the whole player. I think I want to do a network. I think I'm going to go do a network ID. I just think it makes sense. Because then I don't have to worry about like I don't have to worry about sending the ECS IDs across properly anymore. Like I can just spawn something. That might make it harder though. They join the server, they get an ID, and they also get added to a world. Then all of that gets sent back. But it's kind of weird because this is doing two things. It's joining them to the server, which gets them their ID, and then it also adds them to the overworld, which is kind of like part two. So I think the problem I'm having is that once I want to switch the world, like part of this logic is already wrapped in this, and them switching the world isn't really like because it's already in here, it's hard for it to be somewhere else as well. So I could have join server, which gets them. I could make join. Yeah, this is awkward. I feel like I'm just untangling this thing. Untangling the web. Untangling the web of dependencies. Let's see here. I need to shave my mustache. I always get water in it. What do we want to do? What's up, JJ? How you doing today? How's your calendar app going? Seems like you're making good progress on it. Yeah, I'm not sure this interaction is correct anymore. This is where you would get a network ID though. And then if everything's based off of network IDs, then you can correlate them to whatever world you want based off of what update packet they receive in. Then we probably just do it. I think we probably just go network ID all the way. I don't think it's going to be that hard to track. If we just do this whole thing, we just keep a map on the client. That's all we have to add, I think. A map on the client for network ID to ECS ID. The only problem is that has to be per world. So if the client switches worlds, oops, a little dyslexia there. They'd have to do that here as well. But they would basically receive an they're going to receive a world update, which has a bunch of network IDs to entities. I guess what's the logic? They're going to have to, ow. My cat wants to play. That's where he attacks my legs. It'll be like 0 to this entity A, 1 to like B, 2 to C or something. So then when you receive a new network ID, you just need to spawn. It'll be like, do I already have this one? Then yes. We can just update. No. Spawn. Where spawning creates a new ID, a new ECS ID. Man, so many IDs. I knew before this stream that this was gonna be a rough one. I was dreading it a little bit. I knew I was gonna run into something that was just gonna be horrible to think about. I feel like I'm so indecisive about some of this stuff. I just don't know if it's necessary to have this translation. Let's look at this function again. When you join the server, I mean, technically when you join the server, you shouldn't be... Like, technically what would happen, what should happen, I think, is you join the server, regardless of which way I go, you join the server, all you should get back, you shouldn't get this entity get created and stuff like that. You should have to make another call to do that. Technically, all that should happen is you should just get your ID. You should just get an ID created for you. ID, user ID. It's just hard though, because it's, is it hard? I don't know. Like, you shouldn't get anything spawned. You would have to do that separately. It's also different because in this case, it's the client's like initiating something to join the server. In the other case, it's the server's like moving the client over and then telling the client that he moved over. This is gonna be such a big commit once I finish it. Oh yeah. Hey, what's up, Mount Shark? The game has changed a lot. Did you log into the game? Or like actually, I think the uh-oh. You're not dev slash, oh, there we go. I don't know what happened there. I think the loot drops are actually active in this version. Oh, you got left out. I'll die. I'll die so you can be we can do the battle together. You ready? Yes, you can walk over these and you can pick stuff up too. Old Mohawk. I think I made these waves way too hard though, that's for sure. Uh-oh. Oh no, a little crash there. Oh. It's weird it didn't crash, but I got kicked out for some reason. It is awkward when you click these buttons, you still I got disconnected somehow. There's still some bugs. We're working through them. The bow is super nice because you can literally just stay out of range and just like, uh-oh. These like earth golems are super strong. Oh, I got dropped again. This is not good. I guess you're still staying in, which is good. I keep getting dropped. Or maybe I died, I don't know. I died, yeah. I keep getting disconnected for some reason. I'm not sure what it is. Ooh, top hat, a rare find. I need to do better load testing, I think. Oh, there's a sword. Man, I got dropped again. No good. Yeah, I like deck builders. You find one? I dropped two, yeah. Yeah, something's going wrong. I think the game might have I think the game server might have crashed. But yeah, it's making progress. We're not super stable yet, but we're getting there. Actually, I kind of want to look at why it crashed now. Wild Frost? I haven't heard of that one. What kind of game is it? Or like, what kind of deck builder is it? It's like I guess it's a roguelike probably, right? Docker law or Docker. What is it? PS-A or something? It's weird. It doesn't say that anything's dead. If I have a knife in my inventory and slot one, then I press one to equip, that'd be cool. Yeah, I want to have some way to switch between weapons, like actively, but yeah, obviously that's not in there yet. Like I want to have some difference between like the equipment you're holding and then also the weapons. And I want to have like an offhand and an on-hand weapon, I think. Or I want to look at this logs actually. Docker logs, I think it's this. Where are you? Yeah, I mean, it's, the server doesn't seem to be having any issues. Something with this WebRTC connection. I think when I added WebRTC, it's a little bit unstable still. We got some ways to go, I think. Kind of like Slay the Spire, but with lanes, and you drop your own creatures. Interesting. That's kind of cool. That's a good idea, I think. Slay the Spire is a fun game, though. I think anything that emulates that is probably going to be pretty good. This is so strange. I've never had this happen before. Something's clearly in a weird state. There he is. There's the kitten. Oh. She's a cutie, that's for sure. Yeah, something's going wrong here. It's got to be in the proxy. Oh, let's do a follow. $25. Huh. Yeah, I think something's gone into a... Peer connection has gone into failed. Something's going wrong. We're having a lot of issues today. What was I gonna do? I wanted to restart this. Workspace. Make deploy prod. All right, we'll bounce it. You can also look at the Grafana too. Let's see here. The problem is the Grafana is really only useful for looking at like how long different systems are taking, which isn't super useful. Unless I get flat lines or something like that. No, it's there we go. I remember I was having a similar issue, but I thought I fixed it. I thought I did something that fixed it, but I guess I didn't. It's kind of a hard reproducible thing. Or I want to do... No, that's the wrong one. Docker logs dash follow. I wonder if it's on the client. I wonder if there's some client bug which is making us disconnect. Yeah, something's going wrong. Oh well. Oh well. I'll fix it later. All right, I guess I have to make this decision of what I'm gonna do with this. Oh, I closed my Excel draw. I'm probably gonna have to rewrite this just to use the network ID and then map network IDs to ECS IDs. That's probably the route that I'm gonna go. But I'm gonna think about it a little bit more. I'm probably gonna end stream here and then work on this some more after I eat a little bit of lunch. Even though it's 9:30, but I'm an early lunch eater. I know. Sorry, Dracula. I feel bad. It was a short one. I gotta get back in the mood for it. Or not the mood. I mean, I gotta get back in the rhythm of it. You know. We're easing back in. Just some of these problems are like hard enough where I have to like walk around. I gotta pace my house and think about it a little bit. It's hard to just like sit here and like solve it, you know. I gotta go drive somewhere and think about it more. So yeah, thanks for stopping in, boys. In the saddle, exactly. We're back in the saddle. We're just going a little bit slow right now. We'll get there though. Yeah, see you guys. Thanks for stopping in. I'll see you next time.